Chapter 10. The Path to Eternal Peace and God Realization. O scion of Bharata, surrender unto him utterly. By his grace you will attain transcendental peace and the supreme and eternal abode. Bhagavad Gita 18.62. The meeting point, where two wisdom traditions converge. We've traveled a long journey together, from understanding the chaos of our untrained minds to discovering practical methods for transformation. We've explored how Max Lucado's Christian insights into mental renewal find profound resonance with the ancient wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita. Now we come to the ultimate destination both traditions point toward: genuine, lasting peace that doesn't depend on external circumstances, and a direct, personal relationship with the divine source of all existence. This isn't about choosing between Christianity and Eastern spirituality. It's about recognizing the universal principles that lead to spiritual realization, regardless of the specific tradition you follow. The common ground, what both paths recognize. Both Max Lucado and the Bhagavad Gita understand several fundamental truths about human nature and spiritual growth. The mind as battleground both recognize that the real spiritual battle takes place in consciousness itself. External circumstances matter less than your internal response to them. The power of divine truth both emphasize that transformation comes through aligning your thoughts with higher truth rather than just positive thinking or willpower. The need for surrender both teach that ultimate peace requires letting go of the ego's need to control outcomes and trusting in divine wisdom and love. The promise of grace both assure us that sincere spiritual effort is met with divine assistance that goes beyond what we could achieve alone. The journey we've taken, key realizations. Let's recap the essential insights we've discovered. From enemy to ally, transforming the mind. We began by recognizing that your mind can be either your greatest enemy or your most valuable friend, depending on how you train it. An untrained mind creates endless suffering through obsessive worry about the future, rumination over past mistakes, constant comparison with others, attachment to outcomes beyond your control. But a properly trained mind becomes a source of clear decision-making based on wisdom rather than reaction, inner peace that remains stable regardless of external circumstances, natural compassion and service to others, direct connection with the divine presence within. Identifying mental UFOs, the first step to freedom. We learned to recognize the unidentified flying objects of consciousness, those untruths, false narratives, and overreactions that hijack our mental peace. These include: I'm not good enough, identity confusion. I must control outcomes to be happy, impossible expectations. Other people's opinions determine my worth, external dependency. Material success will bring lasting satisfaction, category error. The key insight is that these aren't just negative thoughts to be suppressed, but symptoms of deeper misunderstanding about who you are and how life actually works. The power of sacred practice, replacing rather than suppressing. Both traditions emphasize that lasting transformation comes through giving your mind something better to focus on rather than just trying to eliminate negative patterns. This includes regular study of wisdom literature that connects you with transcendent truth, prayer or chanting that engages your consciousness with the divine, service to others that shifts focus from personal problems to contributing to something greater, association with spiritually minded people who support your highest aspirations, understanding reality's dual nature, material and spiritual. We discovered that existence operates on two levels: material reality, the world of temporary forms, changing circumstances, and physical processes. Spiritual reality, the eternal essence of consciousness, love, and divine connection. Problems arise when we try to find ultimate meaning and happiness exclusively in the material realm, which by its nature is temporary and limited. Transcending the modes, rising above psychological programming. We learned that human behavior is influenced by three fundamental modes: goodness, leading to knowledge, peace, and ethical behavior; passion, driving ambition, desire, and restless activity; ignorance, creating confusion, depression, and destructive behavior. Spiritual growth involves not just increasing goodness, but transcending all three modes to act from pure spiritual motivation. The choice between divine and demoniac development. Every moment presents a choice between qualities that lead toward liberation, divine nature, or bondage, demoniac nature. This isn't about being perfect versus imperfect, but about the overall direction of your development. The ultimate teaching, complete surrender. Both Max Lucado and the Bhagavad Gita point toward the same ultimate solution, complete surrender to divine will. This doesn't mean becoming passive or giving up personal responsibility. Rather, it means doing your best while letting go of results. You put forth sincere effort in accordance with spiritual principles, but you don't make your happiness dependent on specific outcomes. Acting from service rather than self-interest. Your primary motivation shifts from, what can I get, to, how can I serve the highest good? Trusting divine wisdom over personal preferences. When faced with difficult decisions, you consult spiritual guidance rather than just following immediate desires or social expectations. Accepting what comes as opportunity for growth. Both pleasant and unpleasant experiences become chances to develop spiritually rather than just problems to solve or pleasures to chase. The promise, what complete surrender actually delivers. Both traditions make remarkable promises about what happens when you genuinely surrender your personal agenda to serve the divine. Transcendental peace. This isn't just the absence of conflict, but a positive state of inner fulfillment that doesn't fluctuate with circumstances. It's what the Bhagavad Gita calls unadulterated peace, satisfaction that comes from spiritual connection rather than material achievement. Fearlessness. When you know your essential identity is spiritual and eternal, and that you're always connected to infinite love and wisdom, what is there to ultimately fear? Death becomes transition rather than termination. Failure becomes learning rather than defeat. Natural love and compassion. As your own consciousness becomes healed and whole, you naturally want to help others experience the same healing. Service becomes joyful rather than dutiful. Direct spiritual experience. Both traditions promise that sincere practice leads to actual experience of divine presence, not just belief or hope. This might come as inner peace, profound love, clear guidance, or direct perception of spiritual reality. Ultimate liberation. The final promise is freedom from the cycle of psychological suffering, not because external challenges disappear, but because your relationship to challenges is completely transformed. Making it real. The daily practice of surrender. How do you actually live from this place of surrender? Here are practical ways to integrate this understanding. Morning intention setting. Begin each day by consciously offering your activities to the divine. How can I serve the highest good today? This simple shift in motivation transforms ordinary tasks into spiritual practice. Responsive rather than reactive living. When challenges arise, pause before reacting and ask, what would love do in this situation? Or, how can this situation serve my spiritual growth and help others? Evening reflection and gratitude. End each day by reviewing, where did I remember my spiritual identity today? Where did I forget it? What did I learn? Offer gratitude for both pleasant and difficult experiences as opportunities for growth. Regular spiritual practice. Maintain consistent practices that connect you with transcendent reality, prayer, meditation, chanting, study of sacred texts, or service to others. Community and guidance. Stay connected with others who share your spiritual aspirations, and seek guidance from those who have deeper realization than you currently have. The ongoing journey, process rather than destination. Both traditions emphasize that spiritual realization is more process than destination. You don't reach a point where you're done with spiritual growth, rather, you develop an ongoing relationship with the divine that deepens throughout your life. This removes the pressure to be perfect and allows you to focus on sincere effort rather than comparing yourself to some imagined standard of spiritual achievement. Dealing with setbacks. When you fall back into old patterns of thinking or behavior, don't see this as failure but as information. What triggered the relapse? What can you learn? How can you adjust your practice to be more effective? The very fact that you notice when you've moved away from spiritual consciousness shows that your awareness has grown. Supporting others without preaching. As your own consciousness becomes more stable and loving, you'll naturally want to help others who are struggling. The most effective approach is usually to embody the qualities you want to see rather than trying to convince others to change. Your peace, compassion, and wisdom become invitations for others to explore their own spiritual potential. The final choice. What will you do now? The Bhagavad Gita ends with Krishna telling Arjuna, I have explained to you this most confidential knowledge. Deliberate on this fully, and then do what you wish to do. This captures the essence of free will in spiritual life. You're given the knowledge and tools, but the choice to apply them remains yours. Max Lucado offers the same invitation. God's love is available, spiritual transformation is possible, but you must choose to align your thoughts and actions with divine truth. The beginning, not the end. This book's end is actually a beginning, the start of applying these principles in your daily life. The real test isn't whether you understand these concepts intellectually, but whether they transform how you think, speak, and act. Both wisdom traditions assure us that sincere effort and spiritual practice is never wasted. Every step toward divine consciousness, no matter how small, moves you closer to the peace and love you're ultimately seeking. The final promise: if you genuinely surrender your personal agenda to serve the highest good, that divine love will take responsibility for your ultimate happiness and guide you home to your true spiritual nature. The final assurance: don't fear, don't hesitate, don't worry. When infinite love is your foundation, what challenge could ultimately overwhelm you? The final invitation: the door to transcendental peace is always open. The question is simply whether you're ready to walk through it. Your journey toward eternal peace begins with your next thought, your next word, your next action. Choose wisely, choose lovingly, and trust in the divine grace that supports every sincere seeker. The path is clear, the destination is certain. The only question remaining is, when will you begin?